About 7 months ago, we built this Catio for Mickie the cat who has FIV, which means that he's not allowed to interact with other cats. But we wanted to be able to give him some space to roam outside. And then a few months later, we got Hazel the cat, and she's an indoor cat too. And both her and Mickie seem to really enjoy being out here, but as you can see, there's nothing really in here at the moment, and that's because the winter came and I didn't get a chance to do anything with it. So that's what we're going to be working on in this video. I've got all these old roof battens that I put to one side when they were pulled off our old roof. And using these, I'm going to make some simple brackets, which I can use to hold shelves and other things that I'll be building throughout this video. Each bracket will be made up of 2 pieces with 90-degree ends and 1 diagonal piece with 45-degree ends. And using some polyurethane glue, I can get each one assembled with some decking screws. The first thing I wanted to do was to install a big shelf in this corner because this is the area that gets the most sun and our cats love laying in the sun. Each bracket gets secured to the studs with 3 screws, and I'm not using a level here. The cats won't mind if things are a bit wonky, and also the rain will run off them better too. To make the shelves, I'm using some new roof batten offcuts that I pulled out from our skip when we had our roofing work done. I did a bit of research just to make sure that the treatment used on these is non-toxic and safe for animals, and everything I read seemed to suggest that it would be fine. But if you're doing your own project like this, please do your own research. I'm going to space the slats apart so that they don't hold water when it rains. Because the brackets are going in different directions, I'm going to need to cut some spacer blocks to sit on top of 2 of the brackets so that the shelf sits nicely on top. Just as I got some stain on these shelves, the weather took a turn for the worse. So I relocated to under the pergola. So with the shelf now sitting on these brackets, I'm a bit concerned that this corner here might present an opportunity for Hazel to be able to jump from this corner up onto the roof. Hazel's a bit more nimble than Mickie. Mickie would never attempt to jump like that. But anyway, what I'm thinking now is maybe I can cut this off at a 45. The shelf will still be plenty big enough, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll just need to cut some more batten to support the underside of the shelf where the cut was made. I got some nice bits of pine from a recent wood salvaging mission, and these long bits have housing grooves cut into them, but again, the cats aren't going to mind that, and one of these pieces will be perfect for making a ladder to get up to the sun shelf. To make some steps, I ripped some more batten down the centre at 45 degrees and cut them to length at the miter saw. I was hoping that I could install the steps over these old screw holes to hide them all, but I also wanted the steps to be equally spaced apart. So I did a bit of measuring up and it looked like my luck was in. Spacing them about 170mm apart on centre would hide all of the screw holes. These 18 gauge brad nails that I'm using just temporarily hold them in place, and then I can add screws to reinforce them. I can then offer it up, decide where I want it to be, and cut away the excess. And some of those leftover steps made nice support pieces at both the top of the ladder and the bottom too, as I can use this to secure plastic feet to keep the wood up off the ground so that it doesn't suck up moisture. Now I can add some more brackets and shelves so that the cats can climb around. Now let's see if Mickie can use the ladder. I think that might have tired him out. Hazel wasn't yet brave enough to try it, but she'll get there later. I'm going to use some more salvaged pine to make a rope ladder. I'm going to mark up and drill some holes in each corner and then run this rope through each slat. As you'll see, I have another shelf fitted now and I can run the rope bridge between those two shelves. I just want to make sure that it's nice and tight. And Mickie mastered this in no time with a bit of persuasion. I thought it'd be cool to make a tunnel, so more salvaged pine needed. I tilt my blade to 60 degrees and rip each edge, trying to retain as much width on these boards as possible. And I have 6 of these, which should form a nice long hexagon. I wasn't sure if this would be quite big enough, particularly for Mickie, who's quite a big lad, but there was only one way to find out. I think Hazel might like this as she likes hiding places, but trying to get her to discover it, with Mickie bouncing around looking for treats, was impossible. Next up, I'm going to make a penthouse. I've got some of this exterior grade MDF left over. Not quite enough to make what I wanted, unfortunately, but enough to get started, and I can figure out the rest later. I'm cutting an angle here to support the roof so that rain will flow off the top, and I can match that angle on the top edges of the side panels. This tub of paint looks a good size to make an entrance hole. Off to the shed now to see if I've got anything I can use to make the rest, and I have some bits of perspex here, and I can use these to make the windows. I added a bevel to the openings, a very messy job when you can't find the right dust extraction attachment for the plunge base of the router. Good job I was wearing a respirator. And it'll need some ventilation too, so I'm going to fit one of these soffit vents. The perspex is going to need a hole in each corner so that I can secure it with screws. And using one of the offcuts, I thought I'd make a little drip edge for over the door to keep the rain out. For the base, I routed a rebate, and I ended up deciding to use some more perspex. I thought it'd be funny to be able to watch the cats from underneath. I'm going to stick it on with some silicone, and then add some screws. and then everything gets primed and painted. So you'll see here I've added a bracket at the height I want the penthouse to sit, and I added some more brackets ready for another shelf so that the cats can get up to it. And I'm going to secure the penthouse at the top with 2 long 8mm coach bolts, which will receive a washer and a nut on the inside, but before I tighten them down I'm going to add some blocks at the back just to create some space for a roof overhang. And for the roof, you might have guessed, I have more perspex. I'm going to secure it in place with some silicone. It was quite tricky to apply this through the galvanised mesh, but I managed to get it done. Let's see if Mickie will go inside. I added another shelf over here in the corner just so that the cats have another way to get up and down. Right, so I'm not a fan of artificial grass at all, but I wanted some kind of soft floor covering here that the cats can play around on, and it'll help brighten up everything too. And I got this roll for £40, which seemed like a bargain. I wanted to tuck it under the walls so that it's held in place. And I thought that this would be the project complete, but unfortunately, in strong winds, the artificial grass moved about. So it was off to the shed again to see if I had anything I could use to fix it down. And I have this long piece of aluminium which we pulled off our old conservatory which we demolished a few years ago. And aluminium can be cut using regular woodworking blades. So I'm going to rip off the piece that I don't need. And that left me with this, which is going to be the perfect shape to hold down the artificial grass. I guess what I've made here is basically called a floor threshold. I'm going to drill holes through the mortar line in between the paving slabs. That's just so that it'll be easier to repair if we ever want to get rid of the Catio in future. I add some rule plugs and I can fix it down with some more decking screws. This piece isn't long enough to span the whole length of the Catio, unfortunately, but we can fill in the gaps with some other stuff. It's really surprised me just how much the cats love laying on this stuff. Maybe I could have just bought this and not bothered with everything else. Oh, but Hazel did eventually find her way up the ladder, by the way. So that's the Catio mostly finished. There are still a few other projects that I want to tackle. I'd like to add some kind of bench seat to sit under the window. It'll be a nice place to sit, and also it'll be easier for the cats to jump down from the windowsill. I'd also like to make a couple of lounge chairs to sit over here. And in terms of access for the cats, it'd be nice if they could let themselves in and out of the space. But that would mean either putting a cat flap through the wall or possibly getting a new glazed unit to fit into the French doors. You might have seen the cat grass in the video. The cats really love nibbling on that. And I'll leave links below to the seed that I bought to grow that. We've also got a cat mint plant, which the cats absolutely love as well. I just want to wait for that to grow a little bit bigger, and then I can put that in a big pot out here too. You might have also noticed I added some hanging baskets here and there with some artificial plants in, just cheap ones from IKEA, and I just drilled some holes in the bottom of the pots so that they shed the water. But yeah, this was one of those really enjoyable projects. Absolutely loved it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks for watching.